this area, or whether there were legends about the existence of a cave in the mountain. So when we...
Whales in our waters are still low in numbers, however, because they do face a range of other human-induced threats.
Unfortunately, the autism. However, in other individuals, it's genetic. That is, that it's actually a combination of genes, in part with the developmental process that ultimately determines that risk for autism. We don't know.
One of the magical things about this journey, however, is that because I'm walking over the sea, over this floating, drifting, shifting crust of ice that's floating on the surface of the Arctic Ocean, it's an environment that's in a constant state of flux. The ice is always...
However, for one day a year, we truly stand united, and that's when the marathon takes place.
The next thing is that however we design this stuff, carefully design this stuff, the street will take it and will figure out ways to innovate, as long as it meets base needs. The ability to transcend space and time, for example.
The how of cities, however, is a whole other story.
However, is a very real problem. However, I think there may be a win-win solution here where both parties can win this debate, okay? And that is, we face a situation where it's carbon caps on this planet or die. And
much more interesting, however, is the question, why did Fuji...
However, we now believe that this is the first sighting of a new disease which is now an epidemic spreading through Tasmania.
Ride. In contrast, when we let go, step out of the process just by being curiously aware of what's happening, this same brain region quiets down.
Today, in contrast, we control this planet. And
generation. The hippo generation are...
In contrast to the SAM's technology rig, this is the banded one, where it's more tactile, it's more investigative, it's more apprehensive and shows a reluctance to come straight in and go.
As well. History illustrates the fact that America has had deaf soldiers in contrast to today. In my paper,
suffering. What characterizes sentient beings, in contrast to robots, to stones, to whatever, is that sentient beings suffer, or can suffer. And what they should focus on is not finding their place in some mysterious cosmic drama. They should focus...
Easy to spot. In contrast, posed laughter, which does, it was something, well, it might sound a bit fake. Actually, it's not. It seems...
Rest. And now, in contrast to the laparoscopy, you can precisely place the needle in your instruments, and you can pass it all the way through and follow it in a trajectory. And the
In contrast, the security of Android just really isn't as good. Android phones...
It was a massive effort. The second challenge we had was, in contrast to the smallpox vaccine, which was very stable and a single dose protected you for life, the polio vaccine is incredibly fragile.
In the clear. On the other hand, this other baby is going to go on to develop autism. And this
to a conclusion. Marcello, on the other hand, is sort of a lazy guy, but he's not due at work until about noon. So the alarm goes off.
Belczynski, on the other hand, implored engineers to look at the economic, political, and social consequences of their actions. In other words, be more public-focused. His fear...
Alexandria to go to it. On the other hand, if you did, then great things happened. I think we can...
Now, on the other hand, we have countries that are overperforming on social progress relative to their GDP.
Earth's brightness. Earth, on the other hand, is 11 times smaller than Jupiter, and signal is barely visible in the data. So back to our myth.
They would have said, well, pediatricians don't know how to build bridges, that's what engineers do. On the other hand, he came out and effectively said, or implied, I know how to reason with uncertainty, I know how to...
Huh? But on the other hand, Guizhou, one of the poorest inland provinces of China, is there. And if I split...
Physical fights. Of course, female dogs, bitches on the other hand, have several bitch amendments to male hierarchical rule. The number one...
But if, on the other hand, they're unreliable, we might not. I have friends...